church culture is so different in different groups. Charismatics to the most flamboyant level over here, and the conservatives to the most somber tones over here, right?
Yeah. We've had it all.
Charismatics, Pentecostals, and Amish
some people are
in this
critical
village.
of that, but we're not endorsing one or the other. We want to see the gospel reached.
Yes.
And we're willing to partner with anyone whose heart is that same way.
The cultures of those churches influences the way that they actually discuss support.
Absolutely.
There are certain church cultures where you do not mention funding at all, and they'll have a bucket in the back, and then you can discreetly put money into that bucket when you pass through. And then they have other groups that will get up and give a 40-minute sermon before the sermon on giving.
On giving, yeah.
It's understandable that there are times where we find ourselves in these difficult situations discussing funding in front of a group of people that have come to hear about Back to Jerusalem.
When we do tours, the specific purpose is to raise funds for a specific project. We got into one church, Brother Wren, on the way there, he's like, you know, I got a feeling that this is going to be about the ministry we're going to, and it's not going to be about what we're doing. And I'm thinking, no, I already talked to this guy, I met with him, everything's cool. And we get there and it's exactly what he said. The guy had it set up to raise awareness for his organization, for his ministry.
Yeah, I mean, this happens sometimes where Back to Jerusalem, trying to raise funding for the area that receives the least amount of mission funding in the world, can sometimes fall into a situation where funds are being raised for domestic purposes. And even though we try to make it clear, we are specifically trying to raise awareness and support for missions that are taking place in the 1040 window, in the area that needs it the most. But I think the issue is sometimes that this is an awkward place for so many different ministries. For one night to think outwardly for a moment is awkward and feels challenging. So this pastor that hosted Back to Jerusalem got up and actually started to do fundraising for himself.
And it wasn't just fundraising. It got really embarrassing because he just kept going on and on and on. And I get it. I mean, if he needed to cover, because we've had other times where they need to raise a little bit of money to cover their expenses, and I get that. But it wasn't anything like that. I mean, he just kept going on and on and on, and just like he's twisting people's arms, you know, give everything you can, give what you got, and more money, more ministry, he kept saying to the people.
He actually said
that.
More money equals more ministry.
Yes, then they started passing these big buckets and stuff.
When he said more money, more ministry, I understand that Brother Wren actually corrected him.
He just looked right at the guy and he said, brother, he said, you said more money, more ministry. He said, but I say more prayer, more ministry. The guy couldn't do anything but just sit there and go, yeah, you're right.
And I think it's something that should be an open dialogue where Christians that are trying to do fundraising sometimes cross paths with other ministries, and it's easy to get territorial. It's easy to say, this is our area, this is our money, these are our resources, back off. And it's very easy to get tunnel vision where you're so focused on what you're doing, and what other people are doing doesn't really matter.
It's not about us, it's not about him, you know, it's about us partnering together to reach the lost.